Hello everybody, hope you guys have a great day today. Today we're going to be looking at a southwest storm that could be impacting parts of Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and even parts of New Mexico, and then stretching into the southern plains, the southeast, and then up into the northeast with some potential snow, rain, sleet, all of that, especially in those higher elevations with that snowfall. Before we do get into it though, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Now, here's the National Weather Service currently. You'll see over here in California, these are fire weather watches where you could have some abnormally dry conditions and some winds coming off the shore, which could lead to some increased fire danger over those areas. Then we have some winter storm watches in effect for parts of the Sierra Mountains. Then we have flash flood watches over parts of southern Arizona and southern California, as well as southern Utah. A winter storm warning for the higher elevations in Utah and in that pink. And then we have a winter weather advisory for a couple counties in Utah as well for those higher elevations mainly. And then all of this is all special weather statements. So that's mainly regarding to some flooding that could occur and some reduced visibility. Winter storm watches for a little bit of Wyoming here, and then some winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, and that's all because of this northern component that's going to be combining with this southern component, and then that's going to move out into the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. Now, as we go over to the northeast, now we have a low pressure situated off the coast, and that's going to be bringing some wintry precipitation to the interior northeast, and then stretching into parts of western Massachusetts, western Connecticut. So even some areas getting closer to the coasts, and that's going to be mainly for ice. And snow where you have that purple indicating a winter weather advisories. And then South Dakota, you could have some fairly gusty winds, wind advisories over those areas. Now, we're going to look at the European model as far as what it's showing for the southwest snowstorm. Now, not snowstorm, snowstorm for the higher elevations and more of a rain event for those lower elevations. Now, here as we move on a little bit, you see it's starting to move into southern Arizona, southern California, that area where you had that flash flood watch, and that's going to be for some time between tonight and Wednesday morning is when it's going to move in. So now as we continue into Wednesday afternoon or so, you're seeing more widespread, starting to spread into parts of the western four corners, so Utah, Arizona, southern Nevada, so that would be around the Las Vegas area, and then into southern California as well, and southern New Mexico. Now as we continue, snow forming over parts of Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, those northern Rockies, and then for the southern and central Rockies, you could be seeing some rainfall out of this event. Now this would be for Thursday morning, and you're seeing that northern component. If we move it back a little bit, you'll see this was your northern component right up here, and that's going to be mixing in with this southern component right down here. They kind of mix somewhere around the Wyoming, Colorado area, and then they're going to kind of move out. So that northern component dipping down that cold air. So you're going to see how they kind of move, phase together, and then kind of split off. So this piece of energy is going to split off into that little clipper system, bring some snowfall to the northern tier of the U.S., and then continue out into Canada. And then by Friday morning, pretty much all said and done for the Four Corners area, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and then into Arizona. And then it's more of a southern plains, southeast, northeast type of event now, as you see some very heavy rain bands setting up by Friday afternoon into Friday night, by some pretty heavy rain bands, and then even some snow on the northern fringe of this system. And it's going to continue some snow potentially for Chicago, and then into parts of northern Indiana, potentially even for parts like Columbus, Detroit. You guys could be seeing some snowfall out of the system. And then it's an ice event as you get into Sunday morning over the northeast, interior northeast, Great Lakes. All those areas could be seeing ice, especially once you get into the interior northeast and Great Lakes, you could be seeing some snowfall, predominantly snowfall, and then northern New England getting in on some of the snow by Sunday morning, Saturday night, that time frame, and then heavier snows moving into Maine and then moving out into Canada. Now, here's a total liquid precipitation. So, some of this could fall in the form of snowfall, but usually not too much of it is going to fall in the form of snowfall. So, you saw that Clipper system that only dumped about maybe a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch of liquid precipitation over parts of that were affected with that. So, it really is a good indication of where this snowfall, not snowfall, this rainfall is. So, anywhere in those greens, you're having about a tenth of an inch to half an inch to 1 inch in those blues, and then 1 to 2 inches in those yellows, 2 to 5 inches in the reds, and then if you're in the brown, you're about 5 to 7 inches. Luckily, no areas look to be above 5 inches. Definitely, some areas, especially in this southern component, could pick up a couple more inches in isolated areas, 5 plus inches. Definitely not out of the question. And also for this the southwestern storm, could definitely see some areas above 5 inches, but very isolated areas could see above 5 inches. Basically, that as that southern component started to build in, very heavy rainfall across the Tennessee Valley into the southern Ohio Valley, and then into parts of Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas. And then once you got into the southwest, again, more rain, but centered more over very southeastern Nevada, southern California, most of Arizona, the central, eastern, western part, mainly the central part, seeing that, and then stretching into the northwestern part, and then also for southwest parts of Utah as well. Now, here's your snowfall. In the blues, you're seeing about 2 to 6 inches of snow, 6 to 12 inches about in those purples, 12 to about 24 inches in those pinks, and then once you get into those light blues, aqua colors, you're seeing about 2 to 4 feet. If you are in a purple, this kind of shade of purple, then you're most likely in the higher elevations, and also you're seeing somewhere between 2 and about 4 and 3 feet, and 6 feet. I mean, sorry about that. So here you see a lot of mountain snow, a lot of that over parts of the higher elevations, but for the lower elevations, mainly going to be rainfall for this event. Definitely not out of the question that you could mix in with some snowfall, but definitely not anything that's going to accumulate too much. That northern component dumped about 6 inches of snow over parts of northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, and then this interior northeast system looks to dump about a foot of snowfall. This is according to the temperature profile. So it is quite warm in the atmosphere still. So a lot more snow is being produced than it would, let's say, in January because it's colder. There's not as much moisture in the atmosphere. So that's why, even though this might have only been a 6-inch event in January, maybe now it's about a foot event, about 1 foot of snow. And this is for both of these systems. So about, I would say, 3 to 6 inches of snow for this system that's occurring right now over the interior northeast, and then the next system could be right around maybe 6 inches, but we'll have to definitely see. Still quite a ways out. Now, I just want to touch on the GFS model, and then we're gonna look at just very briefly this upcoming system that could impact parts of I would say the Central Plains and into the not the Ohio Valley, around the Great Lakes area. Now, as we zoom into the southwest here for the GFS run, you see the GFS is gonna kind of have it a bit weaker, and it's not gonna stay as long. Still quite significant rainfall, about 2 to 3 inches, but nothing crazy. This would be for Thursday around the morning time into your lunchtime, and then it's moving out. Now, as we zoom into the southern plains, getting a lot of moisture, especially once you get into the Tennessee Valley, the western Tennessee Valley, near the Mississippi River, and then as we zoom out to the east, it's gonna kind of continue to move out. Now, this would be for Saturday morning, pretty much for your midnight, as you're still sleeping maybe waking up if you're an early bird, but you're seeing some back end snowfall, and it's gonna be cold enough, especially because it's gonna be in the night, that you could see some snowfall. And most of this is this if you're in one of these blue lines, this is indicating that the atmosphere is below 32 degrees, at 32 degrees or below. So you see, most of this snowfall is in the blue lines, indicating that it is 32 degrees or below. So that is gonna indicate that this might actually stick to the ground. One of the first events for some of these more southern areas of this snowfall that are gonna see your first accumulating snowfall, and this would be for Saturday around midnight again. So Saturday into the day, seeing that rain kind of move out into the mid-Atlantic and the southeast coast, and then it's going to move out off to sea and kind of strengthen from there, as you still have fairly warm temperatures off the coast, especially once you start to get farther out to the coast. Temperatures at the coast, of course, aren't that warm. It's still pretty cold. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s at the coast as far as sea surface temperatures. But once you get further out, temperatures are in the 60s and 70s. So definitely a lot of moisture that this system could work with. But if this is quite out to sea, so it's really not going to affect us at the coast. Now it's going to move out, and here's your rainfall from this system. And you're seeing the GFS has it a little bit less, and it has it further east, the bullseye. If you remember, the bullseye was over about this area with the European model, but now with the GFS model, it's more over this area. So definitely something that you want to know. Now, over the southeast, you're seeing around a 1 to 3 inch event from this storm. Now here's your total snowfall, and same colors indicate the same amount of snowfall. And you're seeing the GFS has this much less than the European model, only about 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. So definitely a big change from what the European model was showing. And then the mountain snow, pretty much the same over these areas. Potentially, according to the GFS, a less cold solution, a bit of a warmer solution. So that would indicate less snowfall for those lower elevations and more for the higher elevations. Now we're gonna just quickly note this this next week's snowstorm that could be impacting parts of the Midwest, and I just want to show you and tell you that this is a possibility to happen. Just trying to keep you guys informed, because I don't think I would be doing my job correctly if I didn't at least note on this. I'm not going to show the precipitation amounts or snowfall amounts because this is going to drastically change. I just want to point out that this system is on the way, and that it most likely will form. Now, where that does form, we'll have to kind of work out the nitty-gritty stuff as we get closer to this event. Now, by Monday morning, it's moving out into the northern Rockies, kind of stalls there, moves south, and then intensifies as it gets to around Colorado in that area, and then it gets to the panhandles, and it starts to dump some snowfall for Texas and Oklahoma panhandle, and then into Kansas, Nebraska, northern Missouri, and southern Iowa, seeing some quite hefty snowfall. And then by Wednesday morning, it's moving into parts of the more northern and western parts of Iowa, and then into southern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, and then it pushes out by Thursday night, and then it's mainly into Canada. Now this model run doesn't go far enough out for us to see where this would end up, but it most likely this is where your low pressure is, and this is some wraparound snowfall, so it's most likely going to move out and into southeast Canada, most likely for in the form of rainfall, especially closer to the southern part, closer to the U.S. border. But if you do live in these northern parts, which I'm not sure quite a lot of people do, but if you do, you could see some snowfall from this system. Now, anyways, that is going to wrap up the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.